Hello my dear students, welcome to Teacher at Home. Today class we are going to learn the 12th chapter Improvement in Food Resources. We know that all living organisms need food. Food supplies proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins and minerals, all of which we require for our body development, growth and health. Both plants and animals are major sources of food for us. We obtain much of this food from agriculture and animal husbandry. We read in newspaper that efforts are always being made to improve production from agriculture and animal husbandry. Why is this necessary? Why we cannot make do the current levels of production? India is a very populous country. Our population is more than 1 billion people and is still growing. As food for the growing population, we will soon need more than a quarter of billion tons of grain every year. This can be done by farming one more land, but India is already intensively cultivated. As a result, we do not have any major scope for increasing the area of land under cultivation. Therefore, it is necessary to increase our production efficiency of both crops and livestock. Efforts to meet the food demand by increasing food production have led to some successes so far. We have had the Green Revolution, which contributed to increased food grain production. We have also had the White Revolution, which has led to better and more efficient use as well as availability of milk. However, these revolutions mean that our natural resources are getting used more intensively. As a result, there are more chances of causing damage to our natural resources to the point of destroying their balances completely. Therefore, it is important that we should increase food production without degrading our environment and disturbing the balances maintaining it. Hence, there is a need for sustainable practices in agriculture and animal husbandry. Also, simply increasing grain production for storage in warehouses cannot solve the problem of malnutrition and hunger. People should have money to purchase food. Food security depends on both availability of food and access to it. Majority of our population depends on agriculture for their livelihood. Increasing the income of people working in agriculture is therefore necessary to combat the problem of hunger. Scientific management practices should be undertaken to obtain high yields from farms. For sustained livelihood, one should undertake mixed farming, intercropping, and integrated farming practices. For example, combine agriculture with livestock, poultry, fishes, beekeeping. This question thus becomes, how do we increase the yields of crop and livestock? Improvement in crop yields. Cereals such as wheat, rice, maize, millets, and sorghum provide us carbohydrate for energy requirement. Pulses like gram, chana, pea, matar, black gram, urad, green gram, moong, pigeon pea, arhar, lentil, mazuri provide us with protein. The oil seeds including soybean, groundnut, sesame, castor, mustard, linseed and with sunflower oil, sunflower provide us with necessary fats. Vegetables, spices and fruits provide a range of vitamins and minerals in addition to small amount of proteins, carbohydrates and fats. Carbohydrates are necessary fats. Okay, in addition to these food crops, fodder crops like berseem, oats, Sudan grass are raised as food for the livestock. The Kharif season from the month of different crops require different climatic condition, temperature and photoperiods for their growth and completion of their life cycle. Photoperiods are related to the duration of sunlight. Growth of plants and flowering are dependent on sunlight. As we all know, plants manufacture their food in sunlight by the process of photosynthesis. There are some crops which are grown in rainy season called the Kharif season from the month of June to October. Some of the crops are grown in winter season called the Rabi season from November to April. Paddy, soybean, pigeon pea, maize, cotton, green gram and black gram kharif crops, whereas wheat, gram, peas, mustard, linseed are rabi crops. So they are being classified into two types. In India, there have been a four-time increase in the production of food grains from 1952 to 2010 with only 25% increase in the cultivable land area. How has this increase in production been achieved? If we think of the practices involved in farming, we can see that we can divide it into three stages. First is the choice of seeds for planting. Second is the nurturing of the crop plants. And third is the protection of the growing and harvested crops from loss. Thus, the major crops of activities for improving crop yields can be classified as crop variety improvement, crop production improvement, crop protection management. Crop variety improvement. This approach depends on finding a crop variety that can give a good yield. Varieties or strains of crops can be selected by breeding for various useful characteristics such as disease resistance, response to fertilizers, product quality, and high yield. One way to incorporating desirable characters into crop varieties is by hybridization. Hybridization refers to crossing between genetically dissimilar plants. This crossing may be intervarietal between different varieties, interspecific between two different species of the same genus, or intergeneric between different genera. Another way of improving the crop is by introducing a gene that would provide the desired characteristic. This results in genetically modified crops. For new varieties of crops to be accepted, it is necessary that the variety produces high yields under different conditions that are found in different areas. Farmers would need to be provided with good quality seeds of a particular variety. That is, the seeds should all be of the same variety and germinate under the same conditions. Cultivation practices and crop yield are related to weather, soil quality, and availability of water. Since weather conditions such as drought and flood situations are unpredictable, varieties that can be grown in diverse climate conditions are useful. Similarly, varieties tolerant to high soil salinity have been developed. Some of the factors of which variety improvement is done are higher yield to increase the productivity of the crop per acre, improved quality. Quality considerations of crop products vary from crop to crop. Baking quality is important in wheat, protein quality in pulses, oil quality in oil seeds, and preserving quality in fruits and vegetables. Biotic and abiotic resistance. Crop production can go down due to biotic diseases, insects and nematodes. Biotic drought, salinity, water logging, heat, cold, and frost. Stresses under different situations. Varieties resistant to the stresses can improve crop production. Change in maturity duration. The shorter the duration of the crop from sowing to harvesting, the more economical is the variety. Such short durations allow farmers to grow multiple rounds of crop in a year. Short duration also reduces the cost of crop production. Uniform maturity makes the harvesting process easy and reduces losses during harvesting. Wider adaptability. Developing varieties for wide adaptability will help in stabilizing the crop production under different environmental conditions. One variety can then be grown under different climatic conditions in different areas. Desirable agronomic characteristics. Tallness and profuse branching are desirable characters for fodder crops. Dampness is desired in cereals so that less nutrients are consumed by these crops. Thus, developing varieties of desired agronomic characters help give higher productivity. Crop production management. In India, as in many other agriculture based countries, farming ranges from small to very large farms. Different farmers thus have many more or less land, money, and access to information and technologies. In short, it is the money of financial condition that allow farmers to take up different farming practices and agriculture technologies. There is a correlation between higher inputs and yields. There is a farmer's purchasing capacity for input decides cropping system and production practices. Therefore, production practices can be at different levels, include no cost production, low cost production, high cost production practices. Nutrient management. Just as we need food for development, growth, and well being, plants also require nutrients for growth. Nutrients are supplied to plants by air, water, and soil. There are several nutrients which are essential for plants. Air supplies carbon and oxygen, hydrogen comes from water, and soil supplies the other 13 nutrients to plants. Among these, some are required in large quantities and therefore called macronutrients. The other nutrients are used by plants in small quantities and called micronutrients. Nutrients supplied by air, water, and soil. Source air. Nutrients are carbon and oxygen. Water, hydrogen and oxygen. Soil, macronutrients. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. Micronutrients iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum, and chlorine. Deficiency of these nutrients affect the physiological process in plants, including reproduction, growth, and susceptibility to diseases. To increase the yield, the soil can be enriched by supplying these nutrients in the form of manure and fertilizers. Manure. Manure contains large quantities of organic matter and also supplies small quantities of nutrients to the soil. Manure is prepared by the decomposition of animal excreta and plant waste. Manure helps in enriching soil with nutrients, organic matter, and increasing soil fertility. The bulk of organic matter in manure helps in improving the soil structure. This involves increasing the water holding capacity in sandy soils. In clayey soils, the large quantities of organic matter help in drainage and in avoiding waterlogging. In using manure, we use biological waste material, which is advantageous in protecting our environment from excessive use of fertilizers. Using biological waste material is also a way for recycling farm waste. Based on this kind of biological material used, manure can be classified compost and vermicompost, a process in which farm waste material like livestock, excreta, cow dung, etc., vegetable waste, animal refuse, domestic waste, sewage waste, straw, eradicated weeds, etc., is decomposed in pits is known as composting. The compost it is rich in organic matter and nutrients. Compost is also prepared by using earthworm to hasten the process of decomposition of plants and animal refuse. It is called vermicompost. Green manure. Prior to the sowing of the crop seeds, some plants like sun, hemp, or gore are grown and then mulched by plowing them into the soil. These green plants thus turn into green manure, which helps in enriching the soil in nitrogen and phosphorus. Fertilizers. Fertilizers are commercially produced plant nutrients. Fertilizers supply nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. They are used to ensure good vegetative growth, giving rise to healthy plants. Fertilizers are a factor in the higher yields of high cost farming. Fertilizer should be applied carefully in terms of proper dose, time, and observing pre and post application precautions for their complete utilization. For example, sometimes fertilizers get washed away due to excessive irrigation and are not fully absorbed by the plants. This excess fertilizer thus lead to water pollution. Also, as we have seen in the previous chapter, continuous use of fertilizers in an area can destroy soil fertility because the organic matter in the soil is not replenished. Microorganisms in the soil are harmed by the fertilizers used. Short-term benefits of using fertilizers and long-term benefits of using manure for maintaining soil fertility have to be considered while aiming for optimum yields in crop production. Organic farming is a farming system with minimal or no use of chemicals as fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, etc., and with a maximum input of organic manures, recycled farm waste, use of bioagents such as culture of blue-green algae in preparation of biofertilizers, neem leaf of turmeric, especially in grain storage as biopesticides. With healthy cropping systems, mixed cropping, intercropping, crop rotations. These cropping systems are beneficial in insect, pest, weed control besides providing nutrition. Irrigation. Most agriculture in India is rain-fed. That is, the success of crops in most area is dependent on timely monsoons and sufficient rainfall spread through most of the growing season. Hence, poor monsoons cause crop failure. Ensuring that the crops get water at the right stages during the growing season can increase the expected yields of any crop. Therefore, many measures are used to bring more and more agricultural land under irrigation. Drought occur because of scarcity of irregular distribution of rains. Drought poses a threat to rain-fed farming areas where farmers do not use irrigation for crop production and depend only on rain. Light soils have less water retention capacity. In areas with light soils, crops get adversely affected by drought conditions. Scientists have developed some crop varieties which can tolerate drought conditions. India has wide variety of water resources and a highly varied climate. Under such conditions, several different kinds of irrigation systems adapted to supply water to agricultural lands depending on the kind of water resources available. These include well, canal, rivers and tanks. Wells. There are two types of wells, namely dug wells and tube wells. In a dug well, water is collected from water-bearing strata. Tube wells can tap water from the deeper strata. From these wells, water is lifted by pumps for irrigation. Canals. This is usually an elaborate and extensive irrigation system. In this system, canals receiving water from one or more reservoirs or from rivers. Main canal divided into branch canals having further distributaries or irrigate fields. River lift systems. In areas where canal flow insufficient or irregular due to inadequate reservoir, release the lift system is more rational. Water is directly drawn from the rivers for supplementing irrigation in areas close to rivers. Tanks. These are small storage reservoirs which intercept and store the runoff of smaller catchment areas. Fresh initiatives for increasing the water availability for agriculture include rainwater harvesting and watershed management. This involves building small check dams which lead to an increase in groundwater levels. Check dam stops in the rainwater flowing away and also reduce soil erosion. Cropping patterns. Different way of cropping crops can be used to give maximum benefit. Mixed cropping is a growing two or more crops continuously on the same piece of land. Wheat plus gram, wheat or mustard, groundnut plus sunflower reduces risk and gives some insurance against failure of one of the crops. Intercropping is growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same field in a definite pattern. A few rows of one crop alternate with a few rows of second crop. For example, soybean plus maize or finger millet, bajra and cowpea, lobia. The crops are selected such that their nutrient requirements are different. This ensures maximum utilization of the nutrients applied and also prevents pests and diseases from spreading to all the plants belonging to one crop in a field. This way, both crops can give better returns. The growing of different crops on a piece of land in a pre-planned succession is known as crop rotation. Depending upon the duration, crop rotation is done for different crop combinations. Availability of moisture and irrigation facilities decide the choice of the crop to be cultivated after one harvest. If crop rotation is done properly, then two or three crops can be grown in a year with good harvest. Crop protection management. Field crops are infested by a large number of weeds, insect pests and diseases. If weeds and pests are not controlled at the appropriate time, then they can damage the crop so much that most of the crop is lost. Weeds are unwanted plants in the cultivated field. For example, Sandium, Gokro, Parthenium, Gajargas, Cyprinus, Rotundus, Motha, they compete for food, space and light. Weeds take up nutrients and reduce the growth of the crop. Therefore, removal of weeds from cultivated fields during the early stages of crop growth is essential for a good harvest. Generally, insect pests attack the plants in three ways. They cut the root, stem and leaf. They suck the cell sap from various parts of the plant. They bore into stem and fruits. They thus affect the health of the crop and reduce yields. Disease in plants. Disease in plants caused by pathogens such as bacteria, fungi, and virus. These pathogens can be present in and transmitted through the soil, water, and air. Weeds, insects, and diseases can be controlled by various methods. One of the most commonly used methods is the use of pesticides, which include herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides. These chemicals are sprayed on crop plants or used for treating seeds and soil. However, excessive use of these chemicals creates problems since they can be poisonous to many plant and animal species and cause environmental pollution. Weed control methods also include mechanical removal. Preventive methods such as proper seed bed preparation, timely sowing of crops, intercropping, and crop rotation also help in weed control. Some other preventive measures against pests are the use of resistant varieties and summer plowing, in which fields are plowed deep in summers to destroy weeds and feed them. Nutritional values of animal products. Animal products: milk, fat content 3.60, protein 4, sugar 4.50, minerals 0.70, water 87.20, vitamins B1, B2, B12, and D and D. Egg 12, fat, protein 13, sugar 4.50, minerals 1, water 74, vitamins B2 and D. Meat 3.60, 21.10, 4.50, 1.10, 74.20, B2 and B12. Fish 2.50, 19, 4.50, 1.30, 77.20, niacin D and A. Storage of grains. Storage losses in agriculture produce can be very high. Factors responsible for such losses are biotic, insects, rodents, fungi, mites, and bacteria and abiotic. Inappropriate moisture and temperature in the place of storage. These factors cause degradation in quality, loss in weight, poor germinability, discoloration of produce, or leading to poor marketability. These factors can be controlled by proper treatment and by systematic management of warehouses. Preventive and control measures are used before grains and stored as future use. They include strict cleaning of the produce before storage, proper drying of the produce first in sunlight, and then shade and fumigation using chemicals that can kill pests. So that's all about this first section. The second part we can see in the next video. So if you are interested, please do like, share and subscribe my channel. Okay, thank you.